Good morning, everyone. Here in Eastern Canada and the United States, it's 10 a.m. and at different parts of the world, different times, but all with the same purpose, the same focus, to glorify Śrīla Prabhupāda in his teachings that have been adulterated, unfortunately, by a few people, but it is our goal to reestablish Prabhupada's legacy in his original books, unedited and unadulterated. Because Prabhupada says, I was listening to a lecture this morning before the class, that the living entity is endowed with 4 defects. You have a tendency to be illusioned. The senses are imperfect, and we commit mistakes. And then ultimately, there's a cheating propensity. Now, someone may think, well, cheating propensity relates to playing cards. Oh, he cheated at cards. Yes, that goes on. Or he cheated at business. Yes, that goes on too. But in terms of transferring transcendental knowledge to others in disciplic succession, one has to be free from these defects. And the cheating propensity has been manifested amongst a few whimsical people that joined our movement years ago. This cheating propensity to pretend, to posture, to pose as a so-called Uttama Adhikari when you're not. This is cheating. To interpret the words of the spiritual master to suit your own personal motives and ambitions. This is the cheating propensity. And unfortunately, a lot of mundane people have joined the Krishna consciousness movement and have used it for their own personal motives. This is the cheating propensity. And as long as one is a cheater, they cannot transmit transcendental knowledge to others because they are impure. Prabhupada was pure devotee of Krishna. We can see that as we're going to read this morning in his diaries, how amazing he conducted himself in the early years of 1965-66 in terms of his efforts to please his spiritual master without motivation. He mentions even in a lecture recently that Yashodanandana Prabhu, our great scholar and teacher of Krishna consciousness for us, he sent me this lecture, which I recommend to other people to listen to, on October 24th, 1972, where Prabhupada explains that due to whimsical behavior, people in his mission destroyed that mission because of self-aggrandizement and self-motivation, material, mundane. Unless one is free from any material defects, he cannot transmit the message of Lord Krishna perfectly. And Prabhupada demonstrated it by his actions. And that's why we encourage all of our members, and it's expanding, by the way, and I want to thank everyone that's joining us. It's proliferating gradually to many, many sincere devotees around the world. Yes. In fact, on our Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page, we have close to 15,000 members. And just on one post that we put up, we have 7,600 views. That's a one post of many, many posts. And we are attracting thousands and thousands of views every month. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this effort to proliferate this message. Our mission to protect the legacy of Śrīla Prabhupāda, who is the perfect, bona fide spiritual master for all of his disciples, past, present, and future. This is very important to understand because there is so much confusion in terms of understanding the difference between Vani and Vapu. And the spiritual sound vibration of the pure devotee in his Vani incarnation is the essence of this practice of Bhakti Yoga. Yes. Just like the holy name, Krishna appears in his holy name in this Kali Yuga to take people back to home, because the name and form of Krishna are non-different. And the pastimes of Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation are non-different than him. This is the confusion that exists. And this confusion is a representation of what? Yashodanandana Prabhu, the cheating propensity. There's 4 defects. One has to transcend them in order to give transcendental knowledge to others. So, little explanation there this morning just to start us off and get our group assembled. I know it takes time for some of you to get to the screen with all your responsibilities at your home, but we're up to already 27 people. Yesterday we had 50 people between the Zoom call and the YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, Hare Krishna Society, we're getting thousands and thousands of views collectively from all of the programs. We have over 250 programs. So please refer to those at your convenience. If you're late for the class or reading and discussion, you can always go to that YouTube page and catch all of the nectar from our efforts here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association. And we're going to go to March 11th. Actually, it's March 17th, and this letter from the Salvation Army. So it was sent in March 11th to Prabhupada, and let's go through it. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Box 307, 100 West 72nd Street, New York, New York, 10023. Dear Sir, this will acknowledge your letter of March 5th, 1966. In connection with the possibility of the Salvation Army paying you American dollars and having you release an equivalent amount of Indian currency for the Salvation Army work in India. It is noted that you will need $200,000 immediately for starting your work here in New York. The Salvation Army in America rarely sends money directly to India and therefore would hardly be in a position to help you establish a preaching center in America for the study of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the event, however, that an occasion might arise, what would be the basis of the rate of exchange? We understand that there is the official bank rate and there are other rates available to us which are legal, but which provide more funds in Indian currency than would be provided by the official bank rate. Sincerely, Mr. Martin, the financial secretary. So Prabhupada's trying to arrange a situation for the transfer of money out of India, because the law was that you couldn't have any foreign exchange back then of that amount out of India. So he's suggesting that if people in India donate that amount of money to the Salvation Army in India, they would give him a credit in America to build a temple. Very progressive thinking, very astute. So Friday, March 18th, Dwadasi, sunrise 6:08 a.m., sunset 6:09 p.m., moonrise 5:09 a.m. Today, one letter received from Chandrasekhar. He encouraged to stay in America. Encourages Prabhupada, of course, to stay in America at least for 3 years. God bless him. There is some good sales of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he reports. 2 letters posted as follows. One letter to Padampat Singhainia. One letter to Srimati Sumati Maharajji. That's the owner of Scindia Steamship Lines. Dr. Mishra made bad remark on Tilak and Kanti. He commits offenses. I do not know when he will come to his real sense. And there's a footnote there. For more detailed description of the relationship between Śrīla Prabhupāda and Dr. Mishra, refer to Prabhupada Leelamrita, Volume 2, Planting the Seed. This fellow was a Mayavadi. It was a very difficult situation for Prabhupada, but he tolerated despite the circumstances because he was trying his best to develop the mission. There was still no store front the matchless gifts. That doesn't evolve till July of 66. No disciples, no bathroom, no kitchen. Tonight, no expenditure, income by contribution, $4. Tonight, 5 ladies and a gentleman attended the meeting from 7 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. and 15-minute talks, kirtan and lectures on the Bhagavad Gita performed. So these lectures, as I've been mentioning, are online, and you can listen to them. Saturday, March 19th, Trayodashi, sunrise 6:06 a.m., sunset 6:11 p.m., moonrise 5:33 a.m. Today, I was to go to the ashram, but Yolanda did not go, so I could not go. I prepared on tape recording of Chintamani. So that's in the legacy recordings, and that you can also research online. Income $1 and no expenditures. Made $1 that day. Sunday, March 20th, 1966, Chaturdasi, Ambabashya, sunrise 6:04 a.m., sunset 6:12 p.m., moonrise 5:56. And the sets, some 4 gentlemen and ladies came to see me. We talked for some time. They have given their addresses, no income and no expenditure. In March 21st, 1966, sunrise 6:02 a.m., sunset 6:13 p.m. Sets at 5:44. Pratipad, no letter received today. 1 invitation through Dr. Mishra received for attending lectures of Indira Gandhi on April 1st. If somebody takes me, then I shall go. I distributed prasadam to all at Dr. Mishra's apartment. In the evening, there was a meeting in his room, by the way. That's Prabhupada's room, where he was allowed to speak. 5 ladies and gentlemen attended. Gita explained about individuality of living entities. Income was $2, and there was no expenditures. So this gives us some real insight into how Prabhupada was progressing back in March 1966. All glories to the Sankirtan mission of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Now we'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava before the class, given by His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu from the cold mountain tops of Twain Harte, California. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Muspat Paramahansa Paribhrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Smadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Ramacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giri Godhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai की जय, जमुना माई की जय, गुरु द्वारका धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much. All glories to you, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Glories to you, Prabhupāda.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Tato jayam mudirayet, Tato jayam mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1, 2, 4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every week, we will read a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, explaining the benefits of hearing this great transcendental literature. This is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantasto hyabadrani vidunoti surit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashtaprayeshu vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil. And thus, loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text number 19. Tadara justamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschayi chitaeterana viddam Stitam satve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time, the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Text number 19. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. As we do every week, during these readings and discussion, we will read one or two verses from the Gaudiya Canto R, which was compiled at the direction of His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We'll be reading from chapter 2, text number 11 and 12. Ataeva Bhagavato Sutrerartha Rupa Nijakrita Sutrera Nija Bhashya Swarupa. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives the actual meaning of the Vedanta Sutras. The author of the sutras is Vyasadeva, and he has explained their meaning in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Text number 12, 212. Ataeva Bhagavata Karaha Vichar Yaete Pabisutra Shruti Der Artasar. Study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam meticulously. Then you will understand the actual meaning of Vedanta Sutra from Madhya Lila chapter 25, text 153. Sarva Veda Itihasanam Saram Saram Samudritam. The essence of all Vedic literatures, the Vedas, Puranas, and Itihasas have been collected in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. From Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 145. Today we will be reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, chapter 4, text number 24. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Taeva Veda Durmeder, Taeva Veda Durmeder, Daryante Purusher Yata, Daryante Purusher Yata, Evam Chakara Bhagavan, Evam Chakara Bhagavan, Vyasaha Kripavatsalah, Vyasaha Kripavatsalah, ta, that, eva, certainly, Veda, the book of knowledge, Durmeder, by the less intellectuals, Daryate, can assimilate, Purusher, by the man, Yata, as and as, Evam, thus, Chakara, edited, Bhagavan, the powerful, Vyasa, the great sage of the name, Kripana Vatsala, very kind to the ignorant mass. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thus, the great sage of Vyasadeva, who is very kind upon the less intellectual, ignorant mass of people, edited the book of knowledge so that the same may be assimilated by such less intellectual men. Purport. The Veda is one, and the reasons for its division in many parts are explained herewith. The seeds of all knowledge of the Veda is not a subject matter which can easily be understood by any ordinary man. There is a stricture that nobody should try to learn Vedas who is not a qualified Brahmin. This stricture of the authorities have been wrongly interpreted in so many ways. A class of men who claim Brahminical qualifications simply by their birthright in the family of a Brahmin claim that the study of the Vedas is a monopoly business of such Brahmin caste only. Another section of the people take it as injustice to other castes who do not happen to take birth in a Brahmin family. But both of them are misguided. The Vedas is a subject matter which required to be explained even to Brahmaji by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the subject matter is understood by persons with exceptional qualities of goodness. Persons who are in the modes of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. The ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The personality is very rarely understood by them who are in the modes of passion and ignorance. In the Satya Yuga, everyone was situated in the mode of goodness. Gradually, the mode of goodness declined during the Treta and Dwapara Yugas, and the general mass of people deteriorated from such qualities of goodness. In the present age, the modes of goodness is almost nil. And so for the general mass of people, the kind-hearted, powerful sage Śrīla Vyasadeva divided the Vedas in various ways so that it may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the modes of passion and ignorance. It is explained in the next shloka as follows. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyayam Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadanastrinam Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaha Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amcho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tatkripa Pikshako Nityam Tatpreshta Shatkaromishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains what is the position of the Vedas, why the Vedas were written, who wrote the Vedas, and what is the purpose of the Vedas. We're talking about chapter 15, text number 15 of Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya chaham hriddhi sannivishto mattasmritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve raham eva vidyo vedanta grid eva vid Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. And Śrīla Prabhupāda explains in the purport, in the first paragraph, the Vedas give the right direction to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And Krishna, in his incarnation as a Vyasadeva, is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good. God is all merciful. Now, this is very important to understand because, as we know, there's a class of philosophers who claim that the purpose of the Veda is to merge into Brahman. They have certain Mahavakyas. They have invented this category and selected certain verses of the Vedas based on Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya's preaching. They call them Mahavakyas, or great statements of the Vedas. But to understand the Vedas, one cannot engage in calculated selectivity, declaring one part of the Vedas to be more important than the other. That is not the proper way. That is misleading propaganda. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says, Vedescha sarver ahameva vidyaha. I am the knower of the Vedas. I am the one who's to be known by the study of the Vedas. We see in the Brahma Samhita, our Lord Krishna is telling Lord Brahma, Vedeshu durlabam, adurlabam atma bhakto. That to understand Krishna merely by the study of the Vedas is very difficult. Durlabam. It's very rare to understand Krishna that way. Adurlabam, but it is not difficult if one becomes Atma Bhakta, a confidential devotee. So the next question comes, how does one become a confidential devotee or Atma Bhakta? This is given in so many shastras, primarily in the Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhavad mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Krishna describes, you offer your obeisances to me, offer your homages to me, you worship me. In other words, one has to engage his mind, his body, and his senses to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very nice verse, very important verse. Vede Ramayane Cheva Purane Bharati Tatha Adho Antacha Madhyecha Harihi Sarvatra Giyate. The Vedas, the Puranas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, all of these different scriptures, Adho Antacha Madhyecha, from the beginning, in the middle, and the end. The only goal is to glorify Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. This is the conclusion. This is the proper conclusion. As part of these weekend discussions, we've often discussed a text in the Kali Santarana Upanishad where it is described by Lord Brahma to Narada Muni. Narada Muni inquired from Lord Brahma that in Kali Yuga, how will the living entities be delivered? How will the living entities be saved? And Lord Brahma explained, he gave him this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Lord Brahma explained, Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam, Kali Kalmashanashanam, Nata Parataropeyaha, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. That these 16 words, Shodashakam, Nam Nam, Kali Kalmashanashanam, are potent enough to destroy all the contamination of the age of Kali Yuga. But somebody may point out, but there are so many other methods recommended in the Vedas, meditation, giving charity, giving money to the poor, building, feeding houses, going to places of pilgrimage, practicing severe austerities. So many different methods are recommended. But Lord Brahma says, Nata Parataropeya. There is no superior method than this chanting. So where is this recommended? Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. All the Vedas. If one studies all the Vedas, one will find that this chanting of this Maha Mantra is the topmost and the best practice for clearing out the contamination of the age of Kali and to make spiritual advancement. But some people have different interpretations. They think that if you carefully study the Vedas and become a big Vedic scholar, then you will understand. But the chief of the impersonalists, Adi Shankaracharya, recommended Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamate Samprapte Sanniti Kale Nahi Dukrin Karane. That your study of Sanskrit and your grammatical combinations will not save you at the time of death. Engage in worship Govinda, Bhaja Govinda. 3 times he's describing. Unfortunately, they're so attached, they're so deluded with their misunderstanding of the Vedas. Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bodhamuchyate. This is a form of disguised Buddhism, this impersonalism, Mayavad. Shankaracharya appeared to deliver this impersonal philosophy to advance the Kali Yuga. But one should not be misled by the false propaganda. They have invented so many different interpretations. Just like they have invented this Mahavakya idea, that certain statements of the Vedas are more important than others. No, that is not the correct understanding. They've also invented a method of study of the Vedas, but some statements are called Paramartika and some statements are called Vyavaharika. Paramartika means superior, Vyavaharika is considered inferior. So these statements that are considered nirguna, or describing the absolute truth as impersonal, they consider that superior. And those various statements are called saguna shruti, or describing the absolute truth, or Lord Krishna as having qualities and form. These are inferior. Once we asked a very prominent Pandit, but where is this classification described in the Veda itself by Veda Vyas? Where did Veda Vyas describe this new classification that you have invented? Where is this? They cannot answer. is another figment of their imagination. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has warned, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunade Hoy Sarvanash, that if you hear this commentation of the impersonalists, your spiritual life will be finished, destroyed. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, in the conversation with the very famous governor of Madras, Ramananda Rai, they were discussing various means of spiritual advancement. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept telling Ramananda Roy, please continue, not this path, not that path. Finally, when Ramananda Roy described the statement of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Sthanistitaha Shrutigatan Tanuvan Manobhir, Ye Prayaso Jitoachi Apitaistrilokyam, that you remain Sthanistitaha in whatever your situation may be, and hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. You hear the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from authorized person. Then you will understand Krishna. One of Krishna's name is named Ajita. No one can conquer Krishna. But by hearing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Ajita Jitopi, the Ajita can become Jita. The unconquerable can be conquered. One can understand and get the favor and the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see in the beginning of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first chapter, there is a very nice description of the power of this book. The very influential Shukadev Goswami, this is Canto 1, Chapter 1, text number 3. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam, Shukamokadamrita dravasam yutam, Pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam, Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bavukaha. O the expert and thoughtful men, please know it, that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures, and it emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadev Goswami. For this, the nectarine fruit has become more tasteful, although it is already readily swallowable nectarine juice, which is relished by all, up to those who are already liberated souls. So this is a very important point. Sometimes some scholars become lost in their study of the Vedas. They become confused, and primarily they will engage in various ritualistic activities for sense gratification. We saw many times in travel and preaching, especially in South India, that some persons are very attached to these various ritualistic ceremonies. In northern India and Bengal, Vrindavan, they will often do what is called Bhagavat Saptaha. They will recite the entire Sanskrit text of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam within 7 days. They will hire some professional pundit or professional reciter to read the entire text of the Bhagavatam, of course, for a certain fee and for a certain money remuneration. But this is not the process of understanding the message of Bhagavatam. The process has been described by Swarup Damodar Goswami, the intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We all know and have heard, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, he had a few very confidential associates. One of them was Swarup Damodar Goswami, who used to basically assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and chant various verses from Vidyapati and Jayadev Goswami and various selected passages of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar Goswami was a great Sanskrit scholar, very austere devotee, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very fond of his association. When Ramananda Roy had been converted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also moved to Jagannath Puri. And Ramananda Roy also became a very confidential devotee. But this Swarup Damodar Goswami had been approached by a poet who had written some commentary or some statements on the Bhagavatam philosophy. And he wanted to present his writing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But no one was allowed to present anything to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless it was first reviewed by Swarup Damodar Goswami. And Swarup Damodar Goswami, after reading the writing, told him, Bhagavata Paragiya Bhagavatastani. If you want to understand the Bhagavatam, you have to study the Bhagavatam from the devotee Bhagavata, from a pure devotee Bhagavata. Now, this is a very important point. What we are seeing now, many persons are misunderstanding the teachings and the instructions of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. They think that some managerial position entitles them to interpret things in any way they want. They think that they can change the writings of the Acharya, that they can invent and interpret things in their own whimsical way. All that does is simply create utpat. Well, somebody may say, what is this utpat, Yasodhanandan? This is a word that is described by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Nectar of Devotion, as translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Prabhupada explains that bhakti, or the practice of devotional service, has to be conducted according to Shruti, Smriti, Puranas, Pancharatrika literatures. Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatrika vidim vina, ekantiki harer bhaktir utpatayeva kalpate. That devotional service, which is not conducted in terms of the Shruti, the Smriti, the Pancharatras, the proper Vedic literatures, and the instruction of the Acharya, of the authorized Acharya, that kind of bhakti will simply create utpat, a disturbance in human society. It creates a disturbance in human society, and it creates a disturbance in devotional society. As part of these various discussions and programs, both Vishwakarma and myself and other commentators have remarked that we see a tendency nowadays in some devotional societies for people to invent new chanting, new bhajan, new mantras. They've become so clever, so intelligent, they invent new mantras not authorized, not given by the Acharya, Śrīla Prabhupāda. And the result is simply utpat. It is misleading, creating problem. Let me tell a little story. In 1977 in Vrindavan, near the Krishna Balaram temple, there used to be some ashram by some sahajiyas where they were chanting Nitai Go Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. This is a mantra that had been manufactured and invented by one Charandas Babaji during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bengal. Now, Prabhupada remarks in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that because, also in some lectures, because it chants the name of Nitai Gaur, there is some benefit, but it is not the standard given by the Acharyas. This is not the proper standard. The authorized devotional standard is established by the Acharyas. Just like we are seeing now with so many kirtans, so many bhajans, so many devotional performances, people are dancing like gypsies and inventing some new mantras. But if we carefully examine the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Chaitanya Bhagavata, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and especially those literatures that have been given by the Acharya Śrīla Prabhupāda, you will not find these mantras there. Why are they doing this? It's called whimsical behavior. Just like those people that invent this procedure of Bhagavat Saptaha, another form of whimsical behavior. One should simply concentrate on hearing the Bhagavatam with the commentary of the bona fide acharyas. That is the success formula. That is the path to success. That is the path of progress. And for those who have invented different interpretations, those who are professional book changers, professional editors, professional concoctors, we can only wish them the best. Just avoid them at all costs. Avoid them at all costs. Just like Prabhupada warned his disciples about certain classes of so-called Vaishnavas, certain classes of so-called practitioners who mislead people. Avoid them at all costs, to whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yashodanandana Prabhu, for your explanations today on the verse from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And I wanted to further review part of the purport here on text 24, where it says that the seeds of all knowledge, or the Veda, is not a subject matter which can be easily understood by an ordinary man. So here, Prabhupada is explaining that one has to be qualified in order to understand Krishna consciousness. And further down in the purport, it's interesting to note, therefore, the subject matter is understood by persons with exceptional qualities of goodness. Persons who are in the modes of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. Persons who are in the modes of passion and ignorance are unable to understand the subject matter of the Vedas. Now, to understand these modes, you can go to the Bhagavad Gita, to the 3 modes of material nature, and you can review these modes and understand how they operate and why they cover you from the ability to understand Krishna. What is common in this world is most people are in the modes of passion and ignorance. This is prevalent everywhere. I was listening to a lecture this morning, Yashodanandana, from Śrīla Prabhupāda, and he was talking about mudha, the animal class of men, the mudha. Prabhupada mentions it, that is, the donkey is like the mudha. It works so hard for material success to accumulate money, and in this way enjoy sense gratification. Of course, we all love animals, but this describes the level of intelligence of a human being who has no higher understanding of the purpose of human life. Human beings that waste their life on the pursuit of sense gratification, Prabhupada said, are sophisticated animals, sophisticated cats and dogs. Now, when someone would say, gee, that's so harsh. I know some people have criticized Prabhupada for, but this is truth. This is not harsh. And if people are sincere, they'll understand what that means. Animal life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. How can you become qualified to understand Krishna and Krishna's inconceivable potencies if you're living like an animal life. This is the modern society, the Kali Yuga that we're in. And it's getting worse by the day. If anyone is following the news, material news, the propaganda wars that are going on, this world is going to hell. That's exactly what's happening. A hellish life. So there's a famous person, a mudha, in the American society, business community. His name is Dana White. Now, he has started a company sometimes 20 years ago called MMA. It's a fighting business, and it's become very popular. Throughout the world, it's spreading like a huge epidemic. And I was watching him on Facebook Reels, Yashodanandana Prabhu, and he was talking about success and explaining to people, because he's a multi-billionaire, he's emerged as a very rich man because of his endeavors. He is, people follow him. They want to learn from him. So he says to people, he's basically explaining to everyone, just get up and do your thing every day. Be focused on what you know is going to make you successful. And then after you achieve your success, be single-minded. When you have your money, then go enjoy yourself. Oh, wow. Mr. Mudha, donkey. Mr. Billionaire Donkey. Yes, you have all the money, but what advice? He's a prolific gambler. He goes and gambles hundreds of thousands of dollars weekly in Las Vegas, Sin City. So people are thinking, I want to be like Dana White. This is a mistake. Mudha, donkey class of men. So Prabhupada came from India in 1965 to introduce the process of Krishna consciousness, to elevate people off the animal platform of existence. And this is his blessing upon all of us, especially his disciples, that we're able to cultivate Krishna consciousness and practice devotional service to purify ourselves, to become qualified to associate with the devotees of the Lord and the Supreme Lord himself. Because a devotee is a transcendental person, not of this material world. Prabhupada was not a material person, although some people perceive him like that. This is a mistake, unfortunately. But you have to be qualified. And unless people follow this process sincerely, everyone, you will not be able to understand the transcendental nature of Śrīla Prabhupāda's appearance or the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna without these attributes of a real devotee of Krishna. And one of the most important things is one should not be a concoctor, mental concoctor. Concoction, seems to be the business of most people. They hear some philosophy, a little bit of knowledge, and all of a sudden they start to concoct in their own mind, look at how smart I am. Look at how intelligent I am. And you read the various articles that they put out, and it's all mental concoction. It's very easy to see, because unless one repeats exactly what his spiritual master says, he is concocting. Devotee does not have an opinion, Prabhupada said. What does opinion mean? Something that you think is right or wrong. The devotee simply repeats the message of Krishna and the message of his spiritual master to others. And he follows the instructions of his spiritual master strictly in order to develop his own personal spiritual life. This is Krishna consciousness. It is a practice, very serious practice. And this is human life at its highest level. Not the mudha, the person that makes money. And then not only does he make money, Prabhupada tells us, he continues to make more money. He's never satisfied. He's a donkey. Although people think he's a hero. No. No hero. No great man there. A great man is a Krishna conscious person who understands without a doubt that he is the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nichidasa, the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are so many instructions, everyone, that are available to us in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and all the other scriptures that Prabhupada has summarized into his books that give us insight into the purpose of human life. These formulas, these scriptures contain insights that are not possible for the mudha. That's why some people criticize us. Oh, who do you think you are? How can you explain? What right do you have to tell us? We are not explaining from our own mental concoction. We are explaining according to our spiritual master's instructions, and we are explaining it according to Krishna's instructions that Prabhupada has taught us in the Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is real success, and this is the position of all of us in the Prabhupada Disciples Association and Hare Krishna Society, is to rise up to the level where we can help others become Krishna conscious. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
Very important points which are being raised here. One thing, recently I've seen a discussion by some devotee on the internet about the meaning of the Krishna consciousness movement and the official institution ISKCON. And he raised the point that corruption within the institution does not invalidate the bona fide position of the eternal Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, there was a movement, there was a Krishna consciousness movement to preach the Siddhanta or the conclusions before the start of ISKCON in July of 1966. And this is not our intent to castigate aspersions or criticism upon the people who are trying to continue the institution. The problem is that there seem to be very deep systemic corruption and this obstinacy, stubborn obstinacy to reform the movement along the guidelines and teachings that Prabhupada has given. And this has been seen on many, many levels. That this is very, very dangerous position, because we see that many persons are practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, worshiping Tulsi, becoming Vaishnavas, outside of the control of the administrators and managers of the institution. And the reason why some people choose to do that is simple. They don't want to be affiliated with all the corruption, the nonsense, the criminality, and the nonsense that often goes on, or alleged criminality. Now, this is a very important point, because Śrīla Prabhupāda, when we analyze, just like we read from this diary, have had several people ask me, why do you people keep reading from this diary? Well, so that we can understand the personality of Śrīla Prabhupāda. What his activities, what did he do to establish this movement? What sacrifices did he make to establish this Krishna consciousness movement? This is very important. And then we have to see what austerities he did to present the philosophy of Krishna consciousness as it is. Prabhupada was asked several times, why is it that you become successful? One person asked him, what magic are you doing? Prabhupada said, no magic. We just present Bhagavad Gita as it is. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and we have with us quite a few devotees here on the Zoom call today, and we want to thank all of you for participating in this weekly sadhana program. It's 4.5 hours every week, and with us today we have one of our god brothers, Janas Priya in Hawaii. I was hoping that he could share some of his realizations and comments today for our group online. Janas Priya in Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, preserved by obeisances. Yes, so many nice, important points brought up by Jasodananda Vishwakarma. Prabhupada's message on Prabhupada philosophy is the only medicine that is going to help us not get in a worse condition. We're already in big trouble. So if the persons that were trying to seek guidance, they're not 100% surrendered to Guru, then the benefit of whatever knowledge is coming from that source is going to be polluted. So if you have a choice of in between a pure devotee and his message, or some knowledge that it might seem to the untrained person, it might seem like this is the real thing. It's like these self-proclaimed gurus, they're like cubic zirconia. If you're familiar with cubic zirconia, the cubic zirconia looks exactly like a diamond. The colors, it shines, everything is just like it, but it's not worth anything. So this is what these gurus have become, cubic zirconia type gurus. And they look very nice, and they might talk very nice to the untrained person. But the message has no value because they have put the poison in the milk, as Prabhupada told us. Even changing one word, even concocting anything. And Prabhupada said this is the Western mentality, this changing mentality. So our goal is to establish this knowledge that Prabhupada gave us as pure as we can. And the best way to do that is what? Simply to follow the example of the whole Sampradaya, especially Śrīla Prabhupāda and Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta. What do? Do they concoct any new philosophy? No. They simply repeated what they heard from their spiritual master. And Prabhupada said, you might be fools, you might be nonsense, but I'm not. So if you just simply repeat as closely as you can what I have said, then your preaching will be successful. And we've seen this. We've seen that we simply repeat what Prabhupada says, then that's going to have the greatest effect. Why? Because it's pure and it's coming from the pure source. It's not a fake philosophy. Why? Because Prabhupada didn't preach anything fake. Prabhupada didn't preach to please anybody. Prabhupada preached to please Krishna. That was his only goal, to preach his guru and by pleasing his guru, he will be pleasing Krishna. So this is what Prabhupada told us to do, and he made it very simple. He gave us all the tools that we need. He gave us more books than we can read. He gave more examples that we can follow. So if we simply have the smallest interest and we remain humble, this is the most important thing. As soon as we think, oh, I'm chanting very nicely, I could chant my Sanskrit very nicely, I could lead a kirtan nicely, I could cook nicely. This is all very nice. But all of this, unless we're doing it in a humble attitude, then the benefit won't show as much as we needed to, because we are really in a bad position. And we have to realize that I'm so fallen. And Prabhupada kept on saying that every time somebody tried to praise Prabhupada, he would say, my only qualification is that I wanted to listen. So let's try to listen and help other people listen, and then our life will be successful. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. And the fact is that any kind of person in this world that wants to succeed has to qualify themselves. Whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, a sports athlete, a musician, nobody becomes prominent or successful in their particular field unless they're qualified. So qualifying for us means discipline. Actually, Prabhupada used the term disciple means discipline. If a disciple does not chant their rounds, minimum 16 rounds a day, and endeavor to chant them with proper focus or attentiveness, if a person does not practice the regulated principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, if a person doesn't engage his time, because time is the most valuable asset that we possess. Chanakya Pandit said, you can't buy back 1 second of time with millions of gold coins. So time also has to be organized. I know we have somebody, a new person on our program this morning from Michigan, and he spends his time throughout the day focused. Despite having to go to work, he uses his headphones, his phone, his connection with technology to always stay in Krishna consciousness by associating with Śrīla Prabhupāda in his transcendental sound vibration. And in this way, he's liberated from material existence by his discipline. No discipline, no advancement. Now, someone would say, I'm too busy. Okay, that's fine. But eventually, your time will be lost. And when your time is over, then you'll regret that you wasted so much time. This is regret. We have to be careful how we discipline ourselves individually as devotees. Whatever great men do, common men will follow. We follow in the footsteps of Śrīla Prabhupāda, who, if you read the diaries that or study with us at the beginning of the classes, these diaries, you'll see Prabhupada was very astute in his use of time. Time management, not time to make more money like Dana White. That's stupid. Okay, he's a great promoter. He's not dumb, but he's acting like a donkey. We cannot become Krishna conscious by becoming donkey class of men, mudha. This is a mistake. And this is the function of our organization, our group. It is not an institutional group. It's a group based on propagating the truth of the matter from the lips of the pure devotee. I see that we have, Yashodanandana Prabhu Nilesh Sharma. I know his name comes up, Dalal, in Miami.
Yes. Sorry.
Miami that's okay, brother.
Hare
What
Krishna.
is the comments that you want to share with us from your car?
Hare Krishna. Very simple, Prabhuji. Is
Yes.
it possible for you to put up chapter 10, text 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, the purport especially, if it is possible? Because
What
here,
was that again? Could you say that again, please? What is it?
Bhagavad Gita,
Chapter 10,
chapter 10, verse 15, the purport.
verse 15, the purport. Chapter 10,
Purport.
verse
Verse
15,
15.
the purport. Yes, okay,
Yes,
go
the
ahead,
first
please.
sentence.
Yeah,
The first sentence. The reason why we insist that we want to listen to Śrīla Prabhupāda, we want to listen to his original words, is because of this. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his successors. If you want to know Krishna, you have to know a person who is in a relationship, not who will be in a relationship or who was in a relationship, but who is in a relationship. Show me one person who is in a relationship with Krishna, particularly with discharge of devotional service. And in the same purport, if you go further down, Prabhupada says that the supreme, if you read, one who does, mental speculation that leads to one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin. And one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is the statement of Krishna. Since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. So it is a statement of Krishna, about Krishna, and it should be understood from Krishna. That is why all the senior devotees over here keep saying the same thing. You cannot change even a single word, because when we change that word, we will change the interpretation, and that is why things go about wrongly. You can pick up the Bhagavad Gita from any author, and you look at the Sanskrit shlokas, there will be no difference. What is the difference going to be? The difference is going to be in the interpretations. And so if we change any word of the original words of Śrīla Prabhupada, we're going to change the meaning, and we're going to change the understanding, and thereby the parampara will end in that particular purpose. Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad Gita as it is because he could not find any edition of the Gita which stipulated these stipulations. That is why he came with the Bhagavad Gita. Now we are in a situation where we are not getting Prabhupada as it is. So now, in order to get Prabhupada as it is in his original words, here is Yashodanand Prabhu and other Prabhus who are helping us to understand Prabhupada as it is. These are my words to you, your understanding, Prabhuji.
Well, I wanted to say that it's very important for everyone to have a regular routine of studying the books. You know, these classes are fine and we're discussing them and all the points, and it's part of Guru Shastra Sadhu. But also remember that the Shastra, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, as it is, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, should be part of your regular routine in your life every week. Study these books, because this is the way that you become connected to Prabhupada and his mission. It's through your effort, your discipline, your study. This is key to making advancement. One has to be qualified by their own practical application of this philosophy in their daily life. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please, further. We're going to finish up here in a minute or two.
Well, I appreciate the comments of Prabhu there in Miami. Very
Yes.
kind of him to speak like that. None of us claim to be exclusive representative of Prabhupada or to have a very unique understanding of Prabhupada. All we're trying to do is to present Prabhupada's teachings without change and without whimsical interpretation. Now, this is very important because what happened when we analyze the history of what took place in 1978 after the departure of our illustrious Acharya, Śrīla Prabhupāda, all kinds of interpretations started to be manufactured on a basis of physicality, of living gurus, that there had to be some living gurus to guide the movement, to give initiation, all these things. And they manufactured different interpretations of various alleged conversations with Prabhupada. And the problem was, it took almost 10 years for these conversations to fully come out, unedited conversation. So a lot of information was suppressed, repressed, devotees were oppressed, discussion was not allowed, open debate was not allowed, and then the emergence of this quasi-nonsense Sahajya philosophy of the GBC came out. They came up with these bogus interpretation, and so many practices were introduced in Prabhupada society which had never been prescribed and discussed by Prabhupada specifically in the last few months of his manifested presence. This is important. The procedure of Guru Puja was changed, the Vyasasanas were introduced, new pranam mantras were introduced, pictures on the altar started to emerge, so many nonsense procedures, all on the basis of this nonsense lie that Prabhupada had allegedly appointed some successor initiating acharyas. Don't be misled by false propaganda from misleading people. All of this was a lie. It was a falsehood by ambitious people who were polluted with pratishta, the desire for name, fame, power, position, prestige, and all this nonsense. Devotional service means get rid of the pratishta. You do service for the sake of service. That is what we've been advised by Prabhupada, by all of our great acharyas, and by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Very important point. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. So we've reached the end of the program. I wanted to make a few comments. Just one, we are preparing a magazine, as Yashodamanandana Prabhu was discussing, the ISKCON, for a draft title, The ISKCON Guru Hoax. And it'll be a definitive magazine which will give detailed information on the real facts concerning the ISKCON world, past, present, and how it's going on, and how Prabhupada actually wanted us to conduct ourselves. So this will be a really detailed book of information for you to refer to become enlightened in these matters. And in this way, you can be able to explain it to other sincere people that are looking for the absolute truth through the bona fide spiritual master. I wanted Venkat Bhatta, Prabhu, if he could put up our invitation flyer that we are publishing. And if you're interested in getting a copy of this artwork and reproducing it for your group, wherever you are in the world, whether it's in Miami or in Hawaii or California, it's an invitation. So when you go out to the garage for your mechanic, you can give here, by the way, we've got a class that we're giving free for self-improvement and mental health and self-realization and bhakti yoga. And then it gives the timings for the class, and then the links for our different social media groups. There they are, all the different groups that we have. And the Prabhupada Disciples Association, we're at 15,000 members. We want to have people increase the subscription to our classes so that we can send them out the notices on a weekly basis and give people a chance. Give them a chance to rise out of the animal existence of the Kali Yuga that everyone is wallowing in, the stool of life. So please, you can request Venkat Bhatta to send you the artwork. You can print it inexpensively in your particular area. Start to hand it out. It'll be much easier than trying to explain everything to everyone what we're doing. So we have that mission. And we want to thank everyone for joining us on this weekly program of classes, Sadhana Bhakti. It's a small portion of the 168 hours of the week that we spend. It's 4.5 hours, but it's 4.5 hours well spent. All glories to all of you, all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday evening for Chaitanya Charitamrita readings and discussions at 8 p.m. Eastern Time here in Canada and the United States. Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Thanks everybody for participating. Very, very kind of you. Thanks to Swarat Prabhu from Malaysia for participating. Rupesh Prabhu, Vijay Pandit Prabhu, everybody. Wonderful. We try to see you on Wednesday for Chaitanya Charitam reading. Hare Krishna.